So for me to really like love a concealer, it's gotta do what it needs to do. And this one by Huda does what it needs to do. Hey my glam girls, welcome back to my channel. It's Chelsea, where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. I'm a beauty enthusiast and consultant who loves to talk about everything dealing with beauty and makeup, and today I am very excited about this new Huda Beauty, it's upside down, faux filter concealer. So we will be doing a full day wear test. I will be sharing with you my thoughts, who I feel this concealer works best for, and all of that. So stay tuned to the end of the video for all of my feedback, suggestions, and my thoughts. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I would love for you to consider hitting that subscribe button, joining the Glam Girl Squad, and giving this video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. So let's get right into this video. So yes, Huda released a new concealer. This is the Faux Filter Luminous Matte Concealer. This is what the outer packaging looks like. I really like this frosted square tube, and I picked up the shade Toasted Almond, which is 5.3G. So this concealer does come in 30 shades. It retails for $29, and we get a total of 0.30 ounces of product, or 9 milliliters of product. Now I didn't purchase her original concealer, but I did watch Gabe Loves Makeup's review, and he has the original concealer, and he said that we get a little less product in this new concealer than the original one. I think the original concealer had 10 milliliters of product. This one has 9 milliliters of product. So just putting that out there in case you're wondering. The shade Toasted Almond is described for medium tan skin tones with golden undertones. Some quick details about this concealer. It is vegan, long wearing, it's supposed to be full coverage, matte finish, and waterproof. So Huda says it's a buildable creamy formula that can flex from medium to full coverage while it visibly brightens and conceals, and is fragrance-free, long-wearing, crease-proof, and made to move with you. It is formulated with vitamin E and sweet almond oil. This is supposed to condition and care for the delicate under-eye skin. It's not supposed to settle into fine lines. It's supposed to be lightweight and transfer-proof. Very interesting. Lastly, it's supposed to diminish the look of dark circles and blemishes while softly blurring and visibly brightening. And she did put this in a clinical test. It says that out of 40 people, 100% agreed it quickly brightened their under eye area, 100% agreed that it didn't crease instantly after application, and 100% agreed it was transfer proof, buildable, blendable, and flexible on the skin. So I would have to agree on pretty much all the claims. This really brightens my under eye area. I love this shade, number one, because even though it has a golden undertone, I typically go for concealers that have a peachy undertone so that it can also brighten and color correct just a little bit of that hollowness that I have under my eyes. But I really love that this is not too golden. It doesn't look too stark under my eyes. And it is stunning. It is stunning. Now, just to give you a little bit of context in terms of my base, because it says that this is a luminous matte, I don't think this concealer is matte at all. I think this gives more of a satin formula. Gabe said that in his video, and I would have to agree with him on that. But just to give you a little bit of context, I did go in first with the Pat McGrath Rose Essence. I mixed together the Tom Ford foundation stick. I wear the shade 8.7 Almond, and I mixed it with the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Powder in the Universal shade. So I took a little bit of the Universal, Tom Ford, mixed it together, and that's my base. So my base, if I could say, is already a little more luminous, but not totally extremely dewy. I do have on highlighter and things like that. And I originally thought that this was going to be more matte than what it is. This is a beautiful, beautiful satin finish of this particular concealer. I would also agree that it is very full coverage. So what I did was, as you saw in the demo, I didn't go in with the actual applicator right onto my eyes. I took the applicator, which I really do like the applicator. It's nice and big. A lot of product comes out on the applicator. So I dabbed it on the back of my hand and then went in with my ring finger, and I just applied the concealer where I wanted it to be, because I didn't want to over apply too much of the concealer and then we're working with too much. I wanted to put on the amount that I normally would put on. I love how this concealer applied. It blended so seamlessly. Even when I went to blend this side of the eye, because I did put more on this side of the eye initially, I felt like it just blended in like butter. And it definitely brightened, you know, for this shade to be, if I could say my go-to, like I like concealers to be no more than 2 shades lighter than my complexion. I don't like a stark under eye, but I love how brightened the under eye looks. I feel like even the hollowness of my inner corner of my eye looks very brightened. That under eye area looks very supple too. I don't think it looks dry or crepey. I'm looking at my under eye area. I don't feel like, I'm looking down so you can kind of see, I don't feel like it's sinking into my fine lines there too much. And I have had, sorry if my camera's shaking, I've had this concealer on now for at least 2 hours, and I didn't set the concealer because Luminous Matte, my under eye area tends to be very dry, so I didn't want to set it. I just wanted to see, do I need to set this? And so far, we are not needing to set anything. And I'm really, really happy about it. I would definitely agree, a little bit goes a very long way. So I would say if you're going in with this concealer, either use your palette, put some on the back of your hand. I wouldn't go straight in on the face just because a lot comes out. If you were to go straight in on your face with the applicator, just swipe off a good amount of the product so you're not getting too much on and then, you know, having to over blend. But I will say this blended really nicely into the skin, and I am really liking this finish. Guys, I'm really liking it. So if you're interested, I do have her Faux Filter Luminous Matte Foundation. I wear the shade Toffee 420G, and I also have her stick foundation in the same shade, Toffee 420G. So if you wear about this shade of foundation and her foundations, then I think this concealer shade would be a really good one for you, especially if you don't like a stark under eye. So I'm gonna go about my day. I don't have too much to say about it, except for initially, first impression so far, this is going really, really good. So I'm gonna be out in some heat today, so I feel like we'll be able to really test the product to see how durable it is, how long it lasts, and all of that good stuff. So stay tuned till the end of the video to hear my final thoughts and what I think, who I recommend this for, and all of that good stuff. Okay guys, we are back. It is the end of the day, and I've had this concealer on, this one right here, for about a little over 8 hours. So let's come in close and see what we're working with. Okay, so I really like how my under eyes are looking. I don't see any excessive creasing under the eyes. And remember I told you all I didn't set my concealer because I wanted to see how it held up on its own. It held up well. I was outside. It was a whopping, it was in the high 90s today. It was hot. I walked outside for a good amount of time. When I say a good amount of time, I mean, you know, maybe like a total of 20 minutes or so. I sweated a bit, not a lot, but definitely enough. And I don't feel like my under eye area looks like any of the coverage has worn away. I also feel like it still looks very nice and plump. It looks nice and satin-like. I feel like it still looks nice and bright. And I'm looking at my eyes from my mirror that's further away. And I really love everything about this concealer. Like, I am shocked right now because the Luminous Matte Foundation, it was nice, but definitely was not one that I was like, oh my gosh, like this is my next favorite one. Like I've used it a few times, but it doesn't get a lot of love. The foundation stick by Huda, like I absolutely really enjoyed this one, and I like used this for a while. When I think of Huda Beauty, I always think of like excessively matte, way too much coverage, and just all in all too much for the style of makeup that I like on a day-to-day. But this right here, honey, this is your go-to concealer. So for me, I would most definitely wear this day in, day out because I can make the coverage what I want it to be. So what I mean by that is, like I was talking to you all about earlier, I think you could definitely go in with way too much product. I would definitely say either wipe off a lot of the product off the doe foot and then apply it to your face, or like how I did, either use the back of your hand or a palette and then go in sparingly. But you don't have to use so much of the product to where you feel like it's just too much coverage for day to day. But if you want that coverage, if you need a lot more coverage, you can most definitely get this. This could be your glam type of concealer, like I said, your everyday type of concealer. And in terms of skin types, so Gabe loves makeup. He has very dry skin, and he really enjoyed this concealer, but he said for him, when he wears it, based on how he likes it, he is going to want to add a little bit more of a luminous moisturizing concealer with it, because by itself it was a bit too dry for him. For me, I have fairly normal skin. My under eye area can be quite dry though, the skin under my eyes. But for me and the way that I prepped my skin, which I told you all earlier what I did, this is great. Like, I don't need to set it. However, I don't feel like my under eye area looks old, crepey, dry, and like all the things we don't want. I think if you have combination and oily skin, you could very much enjoy it with the finish that it does have, because I feel like this is a nice satin finish. You will definitely want to go in and set the concealer, but I don't think it's gonna be one that's gonna slip and slide, move around, and do all the things that you don't want a concealer to do. I definitely feel like this has moved with me throughout the day, but has also stayed in place. Like, I am very impressed with this concealer. So I feel like if you have a drier skin, I feel like people with like excessively drier skin would just need to prep their skin like you would normally do when you're going in with maybe more matte products. Or maybe if you like the coverage of this particular concealer, the consistency of it, but by itself it may not be hydrating enough, mix it with another concealer and then you could probably really enjoy it. But I think if you have like slightly dry to oily skin, you will really enjoy this concealer and the finish of it, because it just hits all the marks. And you know, especially in these warm summer months, you want a concealer that will stay in place, but that will also brighten, conceal, do all the things you want it to do without looking cakey and heavy. And especially at the end of the day, after you've been outside and sweating, like, I don't feel like this looks, it doesn't look weathered. And I love that. It actually reminds me of the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Concealer. I'll do a quick swatch. The reason why I say that is because the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Concealer is a full coverage baby. It's also very opaque. So here is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Concealer. And the shade that I have is 4W0 Hazel. So I love this concealer, okay? I take nothing from it. It is beautiful. She's pricey, but she's beautiful. A nice, like, beautiful satin finish under the eyes. I love the tone of this concealer. And this is one that I also don't really have to set either, because I don't know if I would say it self-sets, but like it stays in place, doesn't move around a lot, and it doesn't like seep into the under eyes quickly and things like that. The Huda Beauty Faux Filter, this is Huda's right here. As you can see, like, the consistency of the two, I feel, is kind of similar. Obviously, formulations are going to be different, but the consistency, I don't know, looking at it under the eyes, like, it just makes me think of the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Concealer. I'm not saying that they're a dupe, okay? Not saying this is a dupe, but it just makes me think of it. So maybe it is. Maybe I should do a little comparison. I don't know. Let me know if you're interested in that, because you guys know I'm always here for the comparisons. But I love this. Love this. Like, she will be used. And just to let y'all know, I am not the biggest, when I say concealer person, like, if you've followed me for a while, you know I love foundations. I will buy all the foundations. Concealers though, like, when I find one I like, I typically just use the ones that I like. I have far fewer concealers than I do foundations. So for me to really like love a concealer, it's gotta do what it needs to do. And this one by Huda does what it needs to do. So 10 out of 10 recommend. Highly impressed with this one. I'm so glad I picked this up, because I can already tell y'all, between Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate, now Huda Beauty and LYS Beauty, your girl is straight with her concealers, okay? I got what I need, okay? That's all I'm saying. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this concealer? Have you tried it? If you have drier skin, let us know your thoughts down below. If you have oilier skin, normal skin, combination skin, like, I want to hear all of your thoughts. If you have tried this concealer, what do you think? Because I definitely think this is a good one. This is a good one. And if you've made it to this point in the video and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl Squad. And guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye, guys.